this is gonna be the second part of the video because like a fucking idiot, I forgot to show you a bunch of the stuff, and I just went ahead and just didn't do it anyway. This is the book. This cost me about $48. It was not really worth it because I already beat the game when I got it, and this is for the Wii, not the GameCube. I was unaware of that because nowhere on this cover does it say for the Wii. It just says the collector's edition, and I thought, oh, it should be for both of it. Well, if you've ever seen this book, which it's really nice, by the way, it's got gold painted pages and stuff. If you've ever seen this book, it is basically tells you how to do stuff with the Wii. It does tell you where a bunch of stuff is, but the Wii version is mirrored to the GameCube version, so everything's backwards. I have a map too. The map's up on my wall on the side of my room, which is like stuck up there with some kind of tape or something. I don't really feel like ripping stuff out of my wall, but it's basically completely backwards. It's the left side and the GameCube is on the right side in the Wii version. Now this book, by the way, is very helpful if you have the Wii version. If you have the GameCube version, it's not so helpful because it tells you controls of the Wii and how to play it with the Wii, not with the GameCube. Also, some things I forgot to mention. The main storyline of Twilight Princess, I kind of skipped out on that. It is basically I'm just gonna put this in a nutshell here. You're Link. You start out in Orland Village. People, moblins, boboblins, whatever they're called. I know the moblins because they're the giant green orc-looking things, but I don't know what the littler ones are. I think those are what the fuck. Anyway, they come. They take this girl named Lily. I don't know. I can't tell if it's an I or two L's, but they take her away, and then half your game is spent trying to find her and this little kid called Colin, who they also take. Colin is Fado, I think. I forgot all these characters. Well, anyway, that just goes to show you how memorable they are to me. I guess maybe I'm just an asshole. I don't know, but no, they get kidnapped, and then you have to go find them, and then in the process of that, you get turned into a wolf by running into this big Twilight Zone wall, which I call it Twilight Zone because it takes you to the Twilight area. In this storyline, this guy named Zant is going around being a dick and putting everything in darkness and twilight and stuff, and for some reason nobody can see you, but they can see everything you see around you, because in a different realm, I guess you're invisible because you're a wolf. I don't know. But there's this little guy in the woods who gives you a lantern, and then he offers you a free bottle. So if you're gonna need bottles, because in pretty much every Zelda game except for the first two, bottles were like the most handy thing ever. That you needed them throughout half the game for something, like to capture the healing fairies or to capture potions, fishes, whatever. Well then, with this game, then you keep going after you beat the forest temple as a human, which you have to go around collecting these things called light tears, which come out of these electric bugs. I don't know how they got a hold of them, but then when you give it back, this goat-looking thing, who I guess is supposed to be like an Ordon sheep or something, with like a really long razor tail, and then he tells you that you're the hero of time, pretty much, and that you're a reincarnated version of the hero of Hyrule. After that, you go on to the fire temple. Oh, God, wait, do you? No, because then you gotta go and you gotta get a pony again, because as usual, the horse has the same name, and then you have to go get her from, she's like running around doing God knows what after this, because I guess she gets spooked or something, and then you gotta have this jousting tournament with this moblin, which is really fun, but then you get Colin and then back, and then they go back, and then you go to Death Mountain, and then you fight Gorons, because I guess they're really pissed at you for some reason. They're like almost impossible to kill. I don't think you can kill them, because I've never really killed them. I actually forgot how the hell you even beat them. But then after you beat that, you go on to the water temple, which isn't always notorious for being the hardest temple in the game. Now, this one involves you pulling a bunch of switches and stuff that lets the water flow down these staircases, and then it fills up the room, and when you get it filled up to a point, you can go to the boss room. The boss is pretty much like Morpho or whatever that thing is from Ocarina of Time, the thing that would put tentacles out of the water and grab you and swing you around and beat the shit out of you. It's pretty much that, but the eye's now inside of a giant, like, tapeworm or something. I don't know what it is. The newer bosses are still really interesting. I loved the fire boss. He was like this Balrog looking thing from Lord of the Rings, and he was chained to these two pillars, and then you had to grab his chains with the iron boots on to make him fall and stuff. After that, the town of Kakariko, or however you pronounce it, which has always been my favorite town, but it's now missing the windmill because Twilight Princess had the same geography as Ocarina of Time. The only difference was towns were like a little farther away because they put in the idea of provinces, like the Elden province and like the other provinces. I once again I forget the names. Um, but yeah, they the map's bigger, Hyrule Field's bigger, which I thought was interesting. Lake Hylia or Hylia. It's got the same general layout. The big house up on the ledge, which used to be Doctor Mizumi's, according to the mangas, which I've read also. And then you go down, and then there's this clown who can shoot you out of a cannon. And I don't know where he came from in the storyline, but apparently he's really helpful later on in the game because then he builds you a cannon to shoot you to the Sky Temple. Well, then a few dungeons later, you start getting, well, every single dungeon you get this piece of this crown that Midna, your traveling companion, is wearing, and it only covers one of her eyes. So she's got like this one crazy looking pharaoh eye from Yu-Gi-Oh, and then she's got this normal eye, and she as a character is an asshole. She bosses you around, and she's worse than Navi in my opinion. I didn't really mind Navi too much, except for the hey, listen, listen. I Usually it was when I was walking to do the thing that she was going to tell me to listen to. I'd be heading to the Temple of Time, and she'd tell me, "You need to go to the Temple of Time. Zelda's trapped." Or I'd be on my way to the Forest Temple. Didn't Sarius say you had to go to the Forest Temple? Or I'll be heading to the waterfall to go to Zora's Domain, like as a kid. She'd be like, "Wait a second, we gotta get the other spiritual stone. Where's it at?" And then she'd go on for hours asking you questions that you were supposed to know, I guess. Well, with Midna, she's completely unhelpful except for the fact she can warp you and turn you into a wolf, which in Ocarina of Time you didn't need anybody to warp you. You could warp yourself. And in Majora's Mask, you could turn yourself into whatever you wanted because you had the masks. But yeah, she can turn you into a wolf, turn you back into a human. She gets to be helpful later on in the game when she's actually around. As a wolf, she's your main attack. Like, well, you're your main attack because you can bite people, but she gets out this giant, weird-looking hand out of her head, and then she helps you fight. Later on in the game, it turns out Zant banished her from her own realm because he's being aided by Ganon's ghost, which is this big swirling ball of mustard gas, I guess. And then when he comes back to life, Ganon, when he gets resurrected by Zant, I guess, he tells Zant that he was useless and that he didn't even need him. Then he takes over Zelda's body and has her attack you. Then he turns back into himself and you fight him as a pig, which, as Ganon's trademark form, he's always a pig. And that's explained in Link to the Past, why he's a pig, but I won't get too much into that. Then after that, you beat it by having a little horseback riding match with him, and you shoot him with the light arrow, and you go and attack him a few times. And then you get to the final battle where it's a sword fight, which was a really interesting sword fight, and it really wore down on my thumbs, because there's this one part where you have to keep tapping A, well, I think it's either A or B, you keep tapping B as hard as you can to get him to like, he'll fall back, and then you can stab him with that final move you have to learn. Now, that's another thing I forgot to mention. This gold wolf that follows you around, he turns into the skeleton who I suspect is a knight, and he teaches you these moves, and you kind of need them throughout half the game. Some people say you don't. Some people can complete the game without them, but I really found them useful, especially the backslash and the helm splitter. Also, with with that rolling thing you did, that was really helpful with the dark nuts. Yeah, dark nuts. They're not dark knights, which I thought they were called until I read the actual, book, and then it told me that, oh no, they're dark nuts. I guess light nuts are too much to ask for. They're heavily salted. Anyway, that's my review of Twilight Princess. I'll post gameplay soon because I don't have my GameCube at the moment. It's somewhere around here. Well, that's all I got for today because this has only been I only have about 30 seconds left. Anyway, I'll be doing a review of Link's Adventures by itself and Twilight Princess by itself soon. And until then, if you feel like subscribing to see it, I feel sorry for you. Bye.